Okay, so are you ready to dive into something really cool?
Always.
Today we're looking at Lagos, Nigeria,
Legos.
which is being called Africa's Silicon Valley.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to do a deep dive today and find out what is really going on over there.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm really excited about this one.
Me too.
Our main source for today is going to be excerpts from a piece called Lagos 2.0, Africa's Startup Capital.
Okay.
And it covers a lot of really interesting stuff, like the fact that there are a lot of people leaving Silicon Valley to head over to Lagos.
Wow.
There's a new generation of entrepreneurs there.
I've heard about this.
There is a lot of venture capital money flowing into the area,
Really?
and government policies are playing a big role, and it's just a really interesting time to be looking at Lagos.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. Let's jump in.
So the first thing that I thought was really interesting and that I wanted to get your take on is this whole idea of a tech exodus from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
So the article talks about how there are tech professionals and even entire companies that are moving from Silicon Valley to Lagos.
Right.
And I was just kind of blown away by this.
Yeah, I mean, it is surprising when you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
we're so used to seeing, talent in companies flowing from, these big established tech hubs
Right.
to other parts of the world. But in this case, it's kind of a reverse brain drain happening.
Yeah, it's like, why Lagos? Why are people leaving Silicon Valley, which is, supposed to be the center of the tech universe, and going to Lagos? What's going on there?
Well, I think it's a combination of push and pull factors, you
Right.
know? On the one hand, you have Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it's great in a lot of ways,
Sure.
but it's also incredibly saturated. It's expensive to live there. The cost of living is through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's a lot of regulation and, it can be kind of a difficult place to really break through and make a name for yourself.
Right.
On the other hand, you have Lagos, which offers this massive untapped market.
Okay.
And I think that's a huge draw for a lot of companies and individuals.
So are you saying that it's like an opportunity to get in on the ground floor of something that's really...
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You have incredibly rapid smartphone adoption happening across Africa.
Right.
A young, dynamic population that's really eager to embrace technology.
Yeah.
And this incredible entrepreneurial spirit that's just pervasive throughout the city.
So it's almost like the Wild West of tech right now over there.
In a way, yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So the article mentions some specific companies that have made this move.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm curious to get your thoughts on these.
Sure.
So companies like Andela, Paystack, Flutterwave, these
Uh-huh.
are companies that have gained international attention.
Yes, they have.
So what do you think their secret sauce is? Like, how have they managed to kind of tap into this and make it work?
Well, I think one of the key things is that they're blending global expertise with local knowledge.
Okay.
So they're bringing in, the best practices from Silicon Valley
Yeah.
and other tech hubs around the world,
Sure.
but they're also deeply rooted in the African context.
So they understand the...
They understand the challenges,
Mhm.
they understand the nuances of the market,
Right.
and they're able to tailor their solutions to meet the specific needs of the African consumer.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about it that way.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful combination.
So can you give me an example of one of those companies that you think is really kind of the poster child for this?
Yeah, I think Paystack is a great example.
Okay, so tell me about them.
So they're a fintech company.
Mhm.
And they tackled a really big problem in Nigeria, which is the lack of reliable online payment systems.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be a huge problem.
Right. So they built this solution that was specifically designed for the Nigerian market,
Okay.
and it just took off.
Why?
I mean, it was a huge success. They gained a ton of traction.
So they were filling a need that wasn't being met.
Exactly.
Right.
They identified a gap in the market, and they built a solution that perfectly addressed that gap.
That's cool.
And what's really interesting is they ended up getting acquired by Stripe.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for $200 million.
What?
Which is a huge success story.
That's incredible.
And I think it really sends a message to the global tech community that, hey, Africa is a place where you can build innovative companies
Right.
and you can achieve massive success.
So what you're saying is this isn't just some flash in the pan.
No.
This is something that's real.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
Lagos is becoming a major player in the tech world.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I love stories like that where it's like somebody sees a problem and then figures out a way to solve it and then becomes this huge success.
It's inspiring.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
And there's so many stories like that coming out of Lagos right now.
So it's not just expats driving this whole boom, though, right?
Yeah.
What about homegrown talent? Because the article talks a lot about
Absolutely.
being people in Lagos.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of young entrepreneurial talent in Lagos is just mind-blowing.
Really?
I mean, they're tackling some of the continent's biggest challenges head on.
Like, what kind of challenges are we talking about here?
Well, everything from, access to financial services
Right.
to improving healthcare,
Right.
education,
Yeah.
e-commerce, you name it.
Wow.
And what's really interesting is that they're not just copying Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
They're building solutions that are specifically tailored to the unique needs of the African market.
So, like, give me an example, because I'm having a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around that.
Sure. So, for example, you have fintech startups that are developing solutions for the unbanked population.
Okay.
So people who don't have access to traditional banking services.
Right.
They're coming up with these incredibly creative ways to provide financial services to these people.
Wow.
You have e-commerce platforms that are connecting rural communities to markets. You have health tech startups that are revolutionizing access to healthcare using mobile technology.
That's amazing.
It's really incredible to see.
So it's almost like they're leapfrogging over these traditional development stages.
Yes, exactly.
And going straight to these really advanced tech solutions.
It's a really exciting time to be watching this all unfold.
So the article also talks about these places called C-Hub and NG-Hub.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about what those are? Because I'm not familiar with those.
Yeah, so these are basically innovation hubs.
Okay.
I guess you could think of them almost like incubators for startups.
Interesting.
So they provide resources, mentorship, co-working spaces, all sorts of things to help these young entrepreneurs thrive.
So it's kind of like a support system.
Exactly.
For people with these really cool ideas.
Right. And it's not just about the resources, it's also about the community.
So it's like a place where...
It's a place where they can connect with other entrepreneurs.
Right.
Share ideas, learn from each other.
So it's like a real ecosystem.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's really fostering a culture of collaboration and knowledge sharing, which is essential for any thriving tech ecosystem.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we've got this amazing talent pool. Both local and international people are coming in from other countries to kind of join in on this.
Right.
And then we have the homegrown talent as well. And they're tackling all these real-world problems. And then you layer on top of that the fact that, like you were saying before, Paystack got acquired for $200 million.
Right.
So there's serious money coming in.
Oh, yeah.
So this must be very appealing to venture capitalists.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Lagos has become a venture capital magnet.
Wow.
Investors from all over the world are waking up to the potential of the African tech market, and Lagos is at the epicenter of it all.
That's amazing.
And it's not just the big international funds, You also have a lot of local investors who are stepping up and funding these startups.
Interesting.
So it's really creating this whole new capital ecosystem.
Wow. So the money is there.
The money is there.
The ideas are there.
The talent is there.
Yeah. It seems like all the ingredients are there.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time to be involved in the African tech scene.
Yeah. So where does the government fit into all of this?
That's a great question.
Because, sometimes governments can kind of get in the way, or sometimes they can be really helpful.
Right.
So what's the situation in Lagos?
Well, I think the government has definitely taken notice of this tech surge.
Okay.
And they've launched a number of initiatives to support it.
Like what?
So, for example, they have something called the Nigerian Startup Bill, which is aimed at streamlining regulations and providing incentives for tech companies.
Oh, that's really interesting.
They're also setting up special economic zones.
What are those?
So these are basically areas where businesses can enjoy tax breaks, streamline processes, all sorts of things to make it easier for them to operate.
So they're really trying to attract businesses to these areas.
Exactly. And I think it's a clear signal that the government recognizes the importance of tech as a driver of economic growth and diversification.
So they're not just sitting back and watching this happen. They're actively trying to foster it.
Exactly. They're trying to create an environment where these tech companies can thrive.
That's awesome. That's really cool to see a government that's kind of on board with this and understanding the potential.
Absolutely.
But the article did mention some challenges.
Right.
And I think it's important to talk about those as well.
Of course.
So, it can't be all sunshine and rainbows.
No, of course not.
What are some of the things that are still kind of holding things back a bit?
Well, one of the challenges is regulatory inconsistencies.
Okay.
The rules and regulations can be a bit unclear sometimes,
Yeah.
and that can create uncertainty for businesses.
Right.
Another challenge is infrastructure gaps,
Okay.
particularly in areas like internet access and power supply.
Oh, yeah, that would be a huge problem.
Right. So those are things that need to be addressed.
So it's like they've got the right mindset,
Yes.
but they need to kind of catch up in terms of the infrastructure and making sure that the regulations are clear and easy to follow.
Exactly. It's a learning curve
Yeah,
for everyone involved, but I think they're making progress.
that's good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something else that I thought was really cool that the article highlighted, which is the role of youth culture
Oh, yeah?
in all of this.
Oh,
Because it sounds like the energy of Lagos is just like,
it's electric.
yeah. And it
Yeah.
seems like the young people are really the ones who are kind of driving this whole thing forward.
Absolutely. Lagos has this incredible youthful energy.
Yeah.
And it's fueled by this population that's just so eager to embrace technology and use it to make a difference in the world.
So it's not just about like making money or,
No, it's about more than that.
yeah,
It's about using tech to solve problems, to create opportunities,
yeah.
to build a better future.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And the article talks about like hackathons, coding, boot camps, tech festivals that are happening all the time.
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere.
And it seems like these aren't just like, boring tech events.
No, they're not.
Like-
They're celebrations.
Yeah.
They're vibrant. They're energetic.
So it's like tech is part of the culture.
It's woven into the fabric of the city.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing to see.
So what are some of the things that they're working on? Like what are the young people in Lagos kind of focused on in terms of their tech solutions?
Well, they're working on a wide range of things.
Right.
But a lot of it is focused on solving local problems.
Okay.
So you have people who are developing fintech solutions that are tailored to local payment systems.
Well,
You have e-commerce platforms that cater to local tastes and preferences.
right.
You even have agri-tech innovations that are revolutionizing farming practices.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how they're using technology to address these really specific challenges.
Yeah, so it's not just about like, copying what's happening in Silicon Valley. It's about
No, it's about innovation.
Yeah.
It's about creativity. It's about finding solutions that are relevant to the African context.
That's amazing. So, I mean, it seems like Lagos has it all right.
It does seem that way.
It's got this incredible mix of a young, tech-savvy population,
Yeah.
a government that's supportive,
Very much so.
a ton of money flowing in.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this feels like it's just like a rocket ship that's about to take off.
Yeah, it's poised for explosive growth.
And that brings up a really interesting question that I think is worth kind of leaving our listeners with.
Okay.
So we've talked about Lagos.
Yes.
We've talked about all the amazing things that are happening there.
Right.
But I think the bigger question is, how is this going to impact the global tech landscape?
That is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, because it seems like something really special is happening in Lagos.
Definitely.
And it's not just about Africa.
Yeah.
It's about how this could potentially change the entire world.
Right, because you have this unique blend of local innovation and global influence.
Yeah.
And it's creating something completely new.
So how do you think it's going to play out? Like, what are your predictions?
Well, I think it's hard to say for sure,
Of course.
but I think it has the potential to disrupt existing power structures in the tech world.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it could challenge the dominance of Silicon Valley
Wow.
and other established tech hubs,
Interesting.
but it could also lead to more collaboration and integration.
It's like a blending of,
Exactly, a more diverse and inclusive tech ecosystem.
I like that.
And I think it could also inspire similar movements in other regions around the world.
So it's like Lagos is kind of leading the way.
It's a pioneer. It's
Okay.
showing what's possible.
That's amazing. I love that. So it's not just about Lagos.
No.
It's about the potential for Lagos to kind of change the world.
Exactly.
And I think that's a really exciting and hopeful message to end on.
I agree.
Yeah, so keep your eyes on Lagos because this is just the beginning.
It's only going to get more exciting from here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. It was amazing.
My pleasure.
And to all of our listeners out there, be sure to check back in with us soon for another deep dive into something else that's shaping our world.
Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.